What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Talking My Shit podcast with your boy Too Skinny. Thank you guys for tuning in once again. For the people that are subscribed, I know usually I drop like Friday, Saturday. I know I'm a little bit late with this one. I had a lot of stuff to do. I had that big show, the Comedians at War show that I just did, where I headlined, did a little quick 30 minutes on they ass. You already know how that went pretty well actually. I don't even know what I was trying to go with that sentence. But anyway, no, yeah, it's been an eventful week for me. I'll fill you guys in real quick on my personal side. I feel like we're almost like a family now since I tell you guys almost everything. So let's go ahead and start off with the show recap, man. So I know my Instagram now has about 1,000 followers. It's over 1,000 followers. I had a lot of followers this past week after I did Jacob Cepeda's Under the Lights Art and Fashion Show. A lot of people followed me after that I met for the first time, or people that had already followed me because they heard of the podcast or they heard of the YouTube videos and they had never seen me live before. I had a lot of people see me live for the first time there, so it was a fun time. Met a lot of people. Oh, my phone just rang. I should have put this shit on vibrate. Fuck. Anyway, but so it was a great time for the people that were there. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. That was a fun time for me, man. It was crazy. As far as the scheduling, I brought some friends with me. We all kind of did like small sets, but it was a fun time. You know, I didn't want to do the full 30 minutes myself because I was like, what if people think that I suck? So I was like, I'll bring a few different people so then they don't have to hear me talk for 30 minutes. But it was a great time. It was a great time. I enjoyed myself. Anyway, this last show I just did last night, or not last night, 2 nights ago, was the Comedians at War show. That was my first headlining show I've done, actual headline where I do like a 30-minute set. I haven't done one of those since like a year ago today, or a year ago yesterday. I did Sorry for the Wait. It was July 27th, 2018. You guys remember that show? It was like probably one of my favorite shows that I've produced so far. Well, this was my almost a year after I'm doing my another headlining set, which is a 30-minute set, which is very common for like big comedians, but like for me, I don't usually do 30-minute sets just because I feel like I don't have 30 minutes of great material. I feel like I have maybe 15 minutes of good material, but the other 30 was, I don't know, I just don't believe in it, or I feel like I haven't said it enough to where I feel confident with the material. But I'm working on that, you know, so the show went great. I'm very happy with the outcome. Shout out to the people that went. You guys are the best. And I do have some more stuff coming up. I want to give a quick shout out to Gossip Structure on Instagram, aka the homie Rene. I met him at one of the Pilsen stand-up shows I did a few months back. We traded info and he had me back on his soiree show. Anyway, he just booked me for the Laugh Factory again. So I'm going back to the Laugh Factory September 12th for the highly recommended showcase. So I'm very excited for that. Thank you, Renee. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, I don't have too many comedian friends, so it's good that people are accepting me and shit. I feel like I belong now. So thank you guys if you guys are listening. You guys are the best. You and your girlfriend Alex. Thank you guys both. But anyway, moving on. I wanted to talk to the people that keep asking me to make the podcast longer. Trust me, it's coming. I'm trying to get closer to that 30-minute mark. This podcast might be a little bit longer than the usual, just because I'm talking so much. But yeah, I'm working on getting it a little bit longer. I just like I said, I just don't want people to get bored and exit out. So I'm working on getting like a solid following first, and then starting to make them longer and longer, you know, so people don't like I said, the people don't get tired of me. So the people just they're coming, you know, the longer episodes are coming, you know, eventually. I'm just bear with me, you know. I also I don't know how to handle all this shit yet as far as like putting out material weekly. Sometimes I feel like I burn myself out, but you guys supported it anyway, so I appreciate you guys. So I hope you guys support this episode just like you do the rest, even though the first, 5 minutes are already bullshit. But anyway, let's keep it going. As far as the personal life, you know, people ask me, "Oh, you haven't talked about the gym or your healthy eating. Are you still on that? You know, are you still sober? Whatever." Sober, not really. I've had a few drinks. I'm not gonna lie. I'm drinking the mimosa right now as I'm recording this shit right here. But you know, I haven't done anything crazy. I haven't like gotten super shit faced or anything like that. So I'm proud of myself, you know. Luckily, I have been busy. I'm still going to the gym at least 3 times a week. My personal trainer, we still going hard. He's actually became my homie now, so I fuck with him. So, you know, it's more of, I'm trying to do like a lifestyle change more than like just a complete like 100% diet, 100% strict eating. So I'm kind of taking it a little bit slower, but I am still active in the gym. As far as the healthy eating, I was doing good, but they opened a Jimmy John's up the street from my house, and dude, I've been fucking, dude, I'm like their number one customer. As soon as they call, they already know who it is. They're like, "What the fuck do you want today?" I'll be like, that number 9 Italian nightclub, baby, dude. And then they have two sizes at Jimmy John's. They used to have the regular and the large, and I used to obviously get the large, but now they only have two sizes, which is the regular and the giant. And I didn't. Giants sound big, but some people be capping. Some people be like, "Oh, it's the giant," but then you get it, don't even be that big. So I ordered the giant. The first time I ordered Jimmy John's to my job, bro, that shit got to my job. You guys know those long ass bolillos they be selling at Jewel, like they come with the bag, dude. It was a whole bolillo, like the whole bolillo was a torta, bro. And this motherfucker just brought it to me, and he just looked at me like, "You definitely gonna eat all that shit." But yeah, other than me trying to stay away from the Jimmy Johns, everything else, yeah, I've been trying to eat a little bit cleaner and shit like that. But I mean that shit hard, like coming from my whole life eating like shit to kind of like a sudden stop. It's hard, but I'm pushing through. I'm pushing through. Other than that, man, dude, I wanted to get into like this little cell phone device, like how the government be listening. We had that whole Black Mirror episode where people are like, "Oh, the FBI is listening" and shit like that. But like about 2 years ago, I noticed that shit. Like even because I know people are like, "Oh, if you search something up on the like internet or on the Safari, it'll pop up like as a suggestion or it'll pop up as an ad." Like for example, if I wanted to buy a car and I search cars, then everywhere, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Snapchat, if you're on Twitter, you'll get ad for cars. And people are like, "Whatever, you get it, it's regular." But dude, like for a few months now, I've been like thinking about buying some shit, but not even talking to anybody about it, because people are like, "Oh, well, the phone listens to you. Like they hear your voice. So if you talk to somebody, they'll give you ads for what you've been talking about." But sometimes I feel like I only think about certain shit. Don't even tell nobody, and I still get ads for the shit that I think about. And it's kind of scary, It's like, what the fuck is my phone like already in my brain type shit? Like I don't even get it, because like I had noticed it a few different times, but this past weekend I confirmed for the first time like that this shit really does happen, because I was on my way home from work. I was riding shotgun because you already know I don't got my license, so I'm riding shotgun, and the car in front of us is a Dodge Charger, and I think I actually know who the driver of the car was just because the car looked familiar. But anyway, not even gonna get into details about that. It was a Dodge Charger, and the sticker on the back of the truck said Alpine. It was just across like the trunk. It was an Alpine. So Alpine is the Alpine sound, Alpine speakers. Everybody knows the brand. But I was just reading the Alpine sticker, and all I kept thinking about it was like, oh, Alpine. I remember that. I remember the sound speakers when I was used to be into speakers and shit like that. I remember I always wanted an Alpine, but never got one because I fucking crashed my car. But anyway, I always wanted one, and then I got home and I look at my phone, and the first thing I see on Facebook, I swear to God, it's an ad for Alpine sound system, bro. Just on Facebook, and I was just like, there's no fucking way. Like, I didn't speak to anybody. I didn't tell anybody about the speakers, so it was just kind of like fucking crazy that only just looking at the logo made that shit pop up on my phone. So people say, oh, that's just a coincidence or whatever. But if you've ever gone through this or you feel like you've gone through this shit, please let me know, because I know for a fact I'm not tweaking. I know, yeah, I do smoke, you know what I'm saying? But I don't be like on some fucking, I don't be smoking meth, nigga. Like, I know I wasn't tweaking like that. But yeah, so if this ever happened to you, like, just let me know, man, because I feel like, I told my OG about it. I was like, look, this shit just popped up, and we just saw that car, and he was just like, you're crazy. But anyway, you know how Mexican dads are. They don't give a fuck about nothing. But anyway, I wanted to move on to the, I saw this little what do you say it? Controversy with Dave East. I don't know if you guys know the rapper Dave East. He posted a picture with a few like bad bitches, and he was in Colombia, and all the chicks he was sitting with, they were all like light-skinned Hispanic girls, Colombian chicks, And somebody commented, "Oh, I see you don't like black girls either." And then he responded, "Bitch, I'm in Colombia," which I don't even think, I know what he meant. I meant like, I'm in Colombia, there's no black people here, but obviously he doesn't know that there is a lot of dark-skinned Colombians, which, I mean, I love you queens too. The dark-skinned Colombians are beautiful too. But it kind of sparked this conversation, like, why is it okay to girls say what they prefer, what kind of, because even if he didn't like dark-skinned girls, let's just say, I know it's wrong, and I know, I don't need people to crucify me, but you know how, like, even if he didn't like dark-skinned girls, right, if he's gonna go on a boat, and he's like, well, I'm gonna go with some bad bitches, and he doesn't like dark-skinned girls, he's obviously not gonna want to put dark-skinned girls on the vote. And I know I'm gonna catch probably a lot of heat for this shit, but it's kind of true, you know, because if a girl was like, oh well, if a girl's gonna get strippers and she's like, oh, but I don't want no fat stripper. Obviously, it's gonna be okay. Like, no, there's nobody's gonna get offended because she doesn't want a fat stripper. The same thing with, I feel like if a guys were like, oh, I don't want no fat strippers, people take offense into that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if people. I don't even know if I'm talking to myself at this point. If you guys are like, if you guys know what I'm saying, like, you know, because girls can say, oh, I only date like guys that are 6'2" or 6 over or whatever, and if a guy says, oh, well, I don't date fat girls or I don't date super skinny chicks, like girls always take that shit up the ass. I feel like, but I'm also feel like I'm getting out of topic here. I don't even know where I was going with that conversation. I just feel like, if a guy doesn't like a certain type of girl, she shouldn't get offended because that's not his preference. Same thing with a guy. If a girl's like, oh, I don't like small dick niggas, I'm not finna get offended. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna walk away. But anyway, let's move on for that. That shit didn't even make sense. Sco Pa Tu Manaa. Have you seen that on Twitter or no? Everybody's been talking about that on Twitter, like Sco Pa Tu Manaa. Like, basically, what it means, it doesn't mean shit, bro. I had to look it up myself because I was so curious. I was like, what the fuck does Sco Pa Tu Manaa even mean? Why is everybody, like, quoting this tweet and, like everybody was just dropping their opinion on whatever the tweet was. So, for example, people put Sco Pa Tu Manaa and they'll be like high school, or Sco Pa Tu Manaa car sex, you know, shit like that. And then people will drop their opinion. So I was like, oh, it probably means, like, what's your opinion on in, like, Portuguese or French or some shit. But then I got, like, curious because I kept seeing it. I was like, damn, why the fuck I'm getting all these foreign, like, tweets on my TL. So then I go look it up, and then, of course, they're like, oh, it don't even mean shit. It's just shit that people made up on Twitter. And I was like, what the fuck? I feel stupid. But I kind of wanted to do some like, what do you think on a few of these topics as well, you know? But I just didn't want to tweet about it because I feel like tweeting about it is like, I didn't want to do a thread, and I hate typing, and I'm lazy, a piece of shit. So I'd rather just talk about it on here. Let me just get a drink of my mimosa real quick. These motherfuckers smack, boy. Anyway, so Sco Pa Tu Manaa. I wanted to drop my first opinion on Donald Trump, and I know that I said I didn't speak politics in the last episode, which I don't, you know, but I feel like I wanted to give out my personal opinion because I feel like, you know, everybody that listens to the podcast, we're almost like a small family in a way, or I guess like a small group. So, you know, maybe you want to hear my opinion, I guess, or maybe you don't. Maybe you already clicked out of this shit because this shit was lame as fuck. But anyway, I want to give my opinion on Donald Trump, and so people kind of know where I stand with all of this. Because like I said, I know I don't get too political on Twitter. So obviously, like I said from last week, I don't fuck with Donald Trump. I don't fuck with that racist shit. But I kind of want to give like my background on this whole Donald Trump since he started his campaign up to this point right now. So, as you guys know, I went to East Aurora High School. So, like, my senior year, I took a class with Mr. Lyons, and I don't really give a shit if I drop his name. He's a teacher. You guys all know him, Mr. Lyons. I've actually heard that he was racist. A few people on my timeline were talking about he was racist. So if you know anything about that, please tell me the cheese, man, because I want to know what the fuck's going on. But I had him as a teacher for a class, and for like the whole class, he just used to show us The Apprentice, which The Apprentice is a show that Donald Trump used to have on NBC, where he had like a few, like, I don't know, like 15 people to start off with, and they all like did competitions to get a job at his company, you know? So we watched that shit for like the whole semester that I had that class. So I just looked at Donald Trump in that show like a boss. Like, he kept firing bitches. He kept like, he showed his penthouse. He showed his buildings. He showed his properties. I was like, that dude's a fucking boss, you know? I want to be like him like one day, you know, on some rich shit, you know? For some reason, like, wealth has always got my attention. And I know people are like, oh, you shouldn't be moved by materialistic things. But I don't know. For some reason, maybe not no more now, but back then I was like so moved by materialistic things. So every time he flexed like Ferrari, his penthouse, you know, his helicopters, his plane, I was like, that dude's the shit, you know? And then towards the end of that season of The Apprentice, the person that won the competition, they got to take charge of building the Trump Tower in Chicago, which I've been a fan of the building ever since I saw the show. And I always, like, growing up, I was like, oh, I want a penthouse or a condo in that building because it just looks so luxurious, it looks so raw. But obviously, since he launched his presidential campaign and he came out like as a racist and as a piece of shit, I have obviously shied away from supporting him and kind of have no interest in like living in his property anymore. Not that I can afford to, but I'm just, you know, I'm not trying to support his business anymore due to the fact that, you know, he's racist as fuck. But anyway, so now obviously I don't stand with him, but people were like, but I don't think like, I guess what I'm trying to get to is, I don't think this dude's racist. Now, I know you guys are like, what the fuck, nigga? Like, what the fuck? You drunk as fuck? You high as fuck? Nah, well, hear me out. I think this dude, he's one of those dudes that just gives a shit about money. He doesn't see color, I feel like he just sees, like, poor and rich. You know, and poor people, he doesn't give a fuck about. Rich people, as long as you're rich, he doesn't give a shit how you look. But I felt like he's always been a man that's wanted, like, fame. He's always wanted, like, a legacy. So that's why he's always, like, funded his own reality TV shows. He's always funded his own production for his own, like, the videos, and like he's always like pushed for fame. He tried to get himself, or he actually got himself on like WWE. If you guys remember watching wrestling as a kid, he was on wrestling because he's always like tried to be famous, and he always puts his name on all of his properties. It just says Trump, big as fuck. Like that person is always like, I feel like he's one of those people that's like a narcissist that just kind of wants to have like his symbol on everything, and I felt like he probably, no matter how much money he put into making these TV shows and building these properties with his name in it, I felt like his legacy wasn't strong enough, like, to hold weight to where people would talk about him in class or in school, you know? So I feel like in his head, he was like, how can I make sure, like, people remember me, you know? Like, he just wanted to be remembered. I feel like he wanted the fame, you know? So he's like, I need to become a president. So he's like, I need to become president of the United States, because presidents, obviously, they don't get forgotten. Even if they were good, not good, they're going to teach them about you in school, you know, forever, you know? You're going to learn about that shit forever. And I feel like he did that so his legacy, like the Trump legacy, lived, like, forever through, like, the school system. And now, all the shit he does now to create chaos, I feel like, because, you know, we always talk about the presidents in school that do the craziest shit. You know, we hear about the Nixons. We hear about, like, the Great Depression and whoever the fuck the president, FDR, I think, was the president while that shit was going on. So I feel like this dude's doing all this, like, anti like illegal immigrant, like pro gun, all this shit to create chaos. So his legacy, like, they teach about him all, like, oh, do you guys remember the Donald Trump times? Do you guys remember when he was president? And I just feel like he's doing that shit for clout, really, you know? And I'm not talking about the clout that, you know, that I like, you know, like, or the clout that people from Aurora chase, you know, or like, you know, the clout that people are like, oh, clout chase. I feel like this is like on another like extreme level. Like, he's literally trying to leave his imprint in the world, and this is his way of doing it, you know? But the sad part, I guess, the bad part about all this bullshit, this is kind of turning into like the Joe Rogan podcast. I'm sorry, I'm not talking so much shit. I promise you guys I got a story coming up that's going to be hilarious right now at the end. But I just kind of want to get this out there. And I'm just scared for what's to come, because after he's president, like, I feel like right now we're so divided that the next person to take charge either has to be super leftist, super liberal, which is going to fuck shit up even worse, because I feel like people are going to create chaos. The right is going to create chaos. But then I feel like this motherfucker is the next conservative president. If we do get another one that's not Donald Trump, it would be even more racist than this motherfucker is, and more crazy than this motherfucker is, because I feel like that's the only way now that they can conquer, which I was just talking to my producer. He was talking about, like, this whole divide and conquer type deal. But I don't know. I just feel like I don't know what's to come. You know, it also makes politics kind of like a joke, because this motherfucker just be tweeting, like, free ASAP Rocky and free, you know what I'm saying? Like, this motherfucker tweet like us. So I feel like it's kind of turning politics into a joke, you know, to where now any TV star or any person with power and wealth is going to want to run. And we're kind of going to shy away from, like, the professionalism in politics, you know. And I know that people are like, oh, well, politics have always been corrupt. At least they did that shit under the table, you know. They were more discreet about it. Now I feel like we're living in a fucking movie. You know, those movies where they're like, oh, yeah, the leader of the world is evil. Like, I feel like it's one of those type of shit, you know. And everybody, like, in the world just makes fun of us because we got this goofy-ass motherfucker as president. But anyway, let me just stop talking about this motherfucker overall. I guess that was just my Sco Pa Tu Manaa on Donald Trump. Anyway, my next one was high school, man. My Sco Pa Tu Manaa on high school. My opinion on high school. I moved here, like I told you guys, I moved here from Chicago like when I was like in 6th grade, 5th grade. And I've been here like most of my life. But when I went into high school, for some reason, I used to watch so many movies and TV. I always thought high school was going to be like the jocks and the emos and like the drug dealers and like, I don't know, like I felt like we were gonna be the cool popular crowd and the lames, you know. I thought it was gonna be like a Disney movie type shit, but when we got to high school, it was like the gangbangers and the nerds. That's it. Like, those are the only two crews. And like it was kind of crazy because we didn't have any jocks. Like we couldn't have jocks at our school. The fucking football team sucked ass. Like imagine like a football player trying to bully you. Like motherfucker, y'all 0 and 39. Get the fuck out of my face. But anyway, it's just kind of crazy how high school was like completely different from what I thought it was gonna be. But I was gonna talk about the dab carts. You motherfuckers in high school. I just saw a video on Twitter of this bitch hitting a dab cart in school, and I feel like you guys are the luckiest motherfuckers. Because if I would have had actual dabs, like a dab cart, like a dab pen in school, I think my grades would have been a lot better. Because I would skip periods. Literally, I would skip days of school, a whole day, just to go smoke weed and go to CC's Pizza and eat like 4 pizzas. Like I would literally do that. But now, if I could have been high at school, like in a discreet manner, I would have probably done a lot better than I did. And I know people are like, oh, like you don't know the consequences of vaping. Like, what if like all those people that are vaping carts now get cancer later? Like, fuck it, you know, if I get cancer, I get cancer. Like, you know, it's my time to go then. Cause like as long as I can keep hitting the cart at work and get high, I'm gonna keep hitting that bitch. But anyway, speaking about high school, I'm gonna end off this podcast with a quick story of the first time I got arrested in school. This was like probably of my sophomore year of high school. It was definitely my sophomore year of high school. Let me just take a little quick sip of this and then I'll tell the story. Yeah, man, so I was going to tell you guys the first time I got arrested at school, man. It was, I actually was planning a food fight. I planned a food fight with, I was a sophomore in high school. I remember that for a fact because of the girl I was talking to at the time. And it all makes sense here at the end. So basically, I was like a sophomore in high school. I'm with the white kid. I know if you guys went to East, you know there's only like 4 white kids. But like the 4 white kids that went to East, those motherfuckers were reckless as fuck. Like they didn't give a fuck. You know, they used to wear the same busted ass shoes for the same 4 years, but they'll whoop the shit out of anybody. You know, they used to be riding their BMX bikes and shit like that. Just some stoner white kids, you know. So I was cool with them. So they told me they were like, let's start a food fight. You know, I was always like on some dumb shit in school. So I was like, fuck it, let's start a food fight. So we were in the lunchroom, you know, I got my shit. They sat across the lunchroom. So they started throwing like small shit, you know, they were throwing like pieces of cookie. I was catching the cookie with my mouth and shit though. I was like, boy, I'm not finna let that go to waste. But no, they were throwing like carrots and shit like that. And then eventually I started throwing like, I remember I peeled the orange and I just started throwing slices of orange and shit across the lunchroom and trying not to get caught, you know, because the teachers were already looking at who the fuck was throwing shit, but they didn't like know where the fuck it was coming from and shit. So then eventually they threw like a fucking piece of, I don't know, I think it was like a chicken patty or something like that. And they threw that shit across the whole fucking lunchroom, way past me, and it smacked somebody else. And I was laughing my ass off. So I was like, fuck it, they throwing big shit, I'm throwing big shit too. So I grabbed the chocolate milk. Literally, a whole chocolate milk. I opened that shit up from one side, and I threw that bitch. It was full as fuck. I threw that shit across the whole lunchroom. Then I just looked and it hit the homie dead in his fucking face. But it didn't hit the white homie. It hit one of the black homies. So it smacked him dead in the fucking face. And the chocolate milk just goes everywhere. And everybody's like, you know, people, you know, they be overreacting and shit. So then out of nowhere, for some reason, the fucking dude know exactly that I threw it. I don't know if he saw me or he questioned them. And because he probably saw them throwing food. So he's like, who the fuck is throwing food with y'all? So I don't know if they snitched on me. Something fucking happened, bro. But he found out it was me. And he came. Damn, I just had to burp. Anyway. He came, he was walking straight at me. And this motherfucker had a fat forehead. So he just looked mad as hell when he was walking towards me. And I was like, in my head, I was like, fuck, I'm about to have to fight this fucking dude, man. And I, like, on the great words of Theo Von, I don't know if you guys know anything about black dudes and fighting, but they win, you know? So I was like, fuck. So this dude comes up to my table, right? But he didn't know who threw it because he was like, who the fuck threw that shit? Like, who the fuck threw that shit? And the girl that I was talking to at the time was sitting right next to me. And she's kind of like put her head down. And I'm kind of like bitching out too. I was like, shit, I ain't finna, you know what I'm saying? If he don't know, he don't know. So then I just start staring at my food like a bitch. And then he grabs the shorty's lunch, the girl that sitting next to me, and he tosses that shit across the fucking lunchroom. And he's like, who the fuck threw my shit? So he knew that I had to get up because he knew that was my girl. So I had to defend her. Or so he thought, because I looked at the bitch like, I ain't finna do shit. That's your food, bitch. He ain't throw my shit. My shit's still right here. But so she was just staring at me like I was finna do something. So I just like started standing up in slow motion. Like, all right, I'm gonna do this slowly. Hopefully somebody come get him before I get up all the way. So I start getting up slowly. My knees are shaking, about to give out. I put my leg over the chair like to kind of get out and stand up. And then the fucking cop comes, and the cop, you remember Officer Debo that looked like Drake? Yeah, that motherfucker. He comes and he's like, yo, what's going on? What's going on? But then this dude, I don't want to drop his name, but he starts like acting a fool. He's like, no, man, this motherfucker do shit at me. I'm finna whoop your fat ass. And I was just looking at him like, oh my God, thank God they got him. But then the dude wouldn't calm down. Like, he was like getting wild. So then I was like, yo, chill out, bro. Like, it's already over. Like, the cops is here. Like, we don't got to do this no more, you know? So I was kind of scared because he kept trying to come towards me. I was like, somebody grab that motherfucker, you know? And finally, Officer Debo grabbed his ass, picked his ass up, and, like, did his ass, like, on some, like, WWF vibes, you know? Just picked his ass up and slammed his ass on the floor, bro. And then he ended up arresting him because he wouldn't stop resisting. Like, he could have literally avoided all this. We could have all gone back to our seat. But this motherfucker got arrested. So then when we all left the lunchroom, I went back to my class, and then the cop came and got me because this motherfucker tricked. And oh, my phone just fucking fell. I just put a screen on that shit, too. The Indian finna be pissed that I keep breaking my shit. Anyway, dude, that's the second time I talk about Indians. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't want you guys to get that perception of me. Anyway, so then they come to get me in my fucking classroom, and the guy's like, yeah, man, so he's gonna go to jail, so we're gonna have to take you to jail, too. I was like, what? That doesn't even make fucking sense. That doesn't make sense. How are you gonna take me to jail because he's going to jail? You can't do that shit, bro. You can't just knock on somebody's door like, yeah, well, your neighbor's getting arrested, so might as well just pick the whole block up, put your hands behind your back. Like, fuck that, bro. So I was like, nah, like, what do you mean? Like, you know, my mom's gonna whoop my... I was just worried about my mom. Like, I didn't give a shit about the consequences. I just didn't want my mom to find out, you know, because my mom... Like, she gonna whoop my ass for sure. But no, then I got arrested, and then they took me to the station, bro. We was in the paddy wagon. This motherfucker was in there crying. Because I don't know if you guys ever been in a paddy wagon, but, like, they kind of split you up into sections. But that shit uncomfortable because you be handcuffed, and I was, you know, I'm fat, nigga. That shit hurt. But anyway, yeah, so we got to the station. They took our fucking fingerprints and shit. And then what hurt me the most is when my mom picked me up. Because she had to pick me up, and they just let me out. I don't even think they charged me with anything. They just, like, it was like a warning, but... But yeah, it was just funny as fuck that Shorty thought I was gonna defend her. No, but I'm just kidding. If you listen to this, I was just kidding. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning into this week's episode, man. I know I'm putting it up kind of late. I was delayed. You know, I had a lot of shit going on, man, and finally got around to it though. You know. Thank you guys again. Every episode that you guys tune in, every episode that you guys share, please keep putting up the screenshots of you listening on your story. That's the only way we can spread the word, you know, hype this shit up, gas it up so we can get more listeners. And to everybody that's been tagging me in different posts where people are looking what podcast to listen to, and you guys keep tagging me and telling them about my podcast, I really, really appreciate that shit from the heart. Quick shout out to the producer who makes this shit all happen, man. Quick shout out to my homie Chins. He's been in California. I think he went to look for some bitch he met on Tinder a few months ago. I'm just kidding, man. Bring your ass home already, man. All right, guys. Follow me on Instagram, 2skinny300. Have a great week. Bye-bye.